Okay, appreciate everybody being here. Obviously, a big day, exciting day in the college football world, and really exciting here at Troy. The class just like Christmas early, so to speak. And I know our guys are, our coaches and our staff. We're really excited about this class. You know, when you look at this class, I thought, that we really addressed some needs that we really needed to make improvements, add some depth, and so forth. So. I think that's the biggest thing that I take, and then also the kind of kids that we are bringing in with this class. They're the kind of guys that we refer to as TKGs, Troy kind of guys. I think they're all fit that mode and really will add a lot to our team on and off the field. When you look at our class, I mean, you look at 2 quarterbacks, 1 running back, 3 wide receivers, a tight end or / big wide receiver, and 6 O-linemen. You're talking about, 13 guys on offense that I think really addressed with losing 3 seniors in the O-line, not losing any wideouts or running backs. I think we did a nice job there filling in. When you look at the defense, we had, basically 5 D linemen, 1 linebacker, and 5 defensive backs. So from that standpoint, I think we hit the numbers we were looking for. One of the things interesting about this class, too, is a lot of these guys were committed to us for a long time. And I think what that tells you about is a little bit about the kind of kids they are, the kind of people they are. I mentioned Troy kind of guys, TKGs earlier. They decided where they were going. They made a commitment, and they stayed with it, and all of them signed early, which I think's, they could have easily, some of them waited until January or through January, and no, they made a decision they wanted to be at Troy. And we want guys here that want to be at Troy and that are excited to be Trojans, and I think we got that with this group. I think it also says a lot about our coaches, building that relationship with them, being able to maintain and hold on to those guys for the duration from their commitment until signing day. So, again, 13 on offense, 11 on defense, 15 high school guys, 9 junior college guys. When you look at where we recruited, state of Alabama, as it should, led us with 9, 8 from the state of Georgia, which Georgia's a huge recruiting area for us. And then Florida, obviously, another area. We got 3 from there. Then you look around, there's 4 more guys that are kind of from other places, maybe through the junior college route, but mostly focused. When you talk about 20 guys out of our class being from the Alabama Panhandle and the Georgia area, I think that's huge. The highest ranked in school history class that we signed. If you're really keeping up with that, a lot of times you can't really judge that for 2 or 3 years down the road. But there is a barometer out there that we kind of are excited about and where we finished in the national rankings. I'm really proud of our staff, and when I mean staff, I mean the entire staff, not just our 10 coaches that get out and recruit, but all our staff from the recruiting department to the operations department. When you talk about our director of recruiting, Dane Brown, I thought he did a great job of helping us organize and keep our guys headed to where they're supposed to be going, and had a great plan for on-campus visits, whether it was, official visits or unofficial visits. He was helped by Kimberly Smith and Bree Garner. Be remiss to not mention them, and Judy Morgan, who's been doing this for 25 years now. They do an outstanding job of planning our weekends for us and really building relationships with our players and recruits and their parents, and know them by name. And it's fun when they come on an official visit and they've already been to your place 4 or 5 times, and they ask, hey, how's Miss Judy doing? Have you seen her or whatever? And I think that says a lot about the people we have here at Troy. Our Director of Player Development and Director of Player Personnel, Jamal Smith and David Faulkner, I think both of those guys are also a big part of those recruiting weekends. And then you have to tip your hat to our 10 coaches. I thought they worked extremely hard. Recruiting can be a grind. It takes a lot of commitment because, it's like shaving. You have to do it every day to stay, to keep it under control. I thought they did a really good job of building those relationships and then maintaining those relationships, researching the guys, looking for the right kind of guys that fit Troy, which that's what my emphasis has been with our staff. Let's not bring in guys that don't fit here. If you're if you're tired of clowns, quit going to the circus, so to speak. And we have to do a great job evaluating and researching our players, and we try to do a great job of that. We addressed our needs for sure. We hit our targets in that area, and then building relationships with these commits, these early commits, and then holding on. So all those things were a huge part, I think, of really getting this class that we're excited about. Some highlights in the class. Our two quarterbacks, I think, are really good players. We had an older one, and we have a younger one, Parker Mcneil. He was a junior college All-American the last 2 years, player of the year this year, put up great numbers, played in a system for a head coach at Navarro named Scott Parr, who's very familiar with our offense. In fact, runs the same offense, and that's what really made me really take a long, hard look at Parker. And once again, I got to know him and the kind of production he had and the kind of person he is. I think he's a perfect fit here at Troy. Kyle Toole is kind of a guy that's been committed to us for a long time. A 29-2 high school record, won a state championship, thrown for a bunch of yards, really similar to Parker. Just a guy that has really been the backbone of this class, getting to know the other recruits and building relationships with them early. So really impressed with those two. Our running back, Kamani Vidal, who was played on the state championship team at Marietta High School. They just finished last week. He was actually named MVP of the state championship game. He ran for over 1,500 yards, and I think we're getting a steal with him. He's just perfect for our offense. He can run the football. He can catch it out of the backfield. He can pass protect. He's really smart. He'll be here early. I failed to mention Parker Mcneil, the other junior college quarterback, will be here early. Kamani will be here early as well, and that's going to help those two really get a head start on their college football careers here at Troy. We wanted a big wide receiver in this class, and we were able to do that with Marcus Rogers, who's a junior college receiver from Iowa Western. And then when you look at our offensive line, addressing the needs with two junior college players, Jordan Chapman, Tariq Bateman. Both guys are experienced, older guys. And Tariq being from the state of Alabama originally, we had a lot of information on him and just feel like he's going to add a lot to us. Jordan Chapman can play all 5 positions. He's really smart, kind of a tough guy, and excited for him as well. So offensively, really pleased with this class overall, along with some young offensive linemen that I think you always continue to build and bring in offensive linemen for the future. Defensively, obviously the area need for us on defense was the secondary. We were able to sign 5 defensive backs. When you include those 5 plus the 2 this year that did not play for us that are here already, you're talking about the possibility of having 7 new guys on the field in the mix for those 5 secondary spots, along with the other guys we have returning, which we're very young. So you feel a lot better now about your depth. You feel a lot better about the skill set of those guys, and I was really proud of our coaches for addressing that need. We also signed 3D tackles that are going to be a huge part, losing 3D linemen and really trying to focus on getting for sure one older lineman, defensive lineman. We did that with Shaquille Brown, a former tight end who's really athletic and is going to only improve and get better, and then an explosive high school D lineman in Medina. So those, along with T.J. Jackson, make a really good defensive line class in the 2020 class here. I failed to mention a couple guys, older guys in the secondary. Zion Williams was going to be one of the more fun players to watch. A lot of passion, a lot of energy, competitive, which you have to play corner or safety wherever we end up playing him. I think Marquise Colvin's another guy to mention. As a junior college transfer that'll be an impact player pretty early, a physical guy that can play in the box and fit down in the run and also cover slots and inside receivers. And then George, going blank here. Adam, help me out. George Jackson Jr. George Jackson Jr. Is another junior college safety that could play some spear nickel for us. Just excited about those 3 being older guys, and Josh Brown from Valdosta, Georgia, Lowndes County High School, really competitive. They actually were beat in the finals by Kamani's team, Marietta, over there, which is pretty cool to have 2 Troy guys in the state finals. But he's a competitive guy we've been impressed with for a long time. So when you look at it, I think we addressed our needs. I think we brought the right kind of kids in here. And I think we're going to be really happy with the returns. And I think a big part, too, is 9 of our guys will come early in January, which is a big number for us. And I think that'll help them get a head start on their careers. So that's kind of an overview of the class, and I'll be glad to take any questions.
Coach, you mentioned Toole's role as kind of maybe a linchpin type. Were there other guys that kind of stood out in that role, recruiting other guys?
I think so. Josh Brown on defense was one of those guys for sure. I think Kyle and Josh probably initially, and then when Tez Johnson came on board, I think he played a huge part. This day and age, these guys connect on Twitter or they connect in group text, and I think that's important to build that bond because this is a signing class. They'll always be remembered as signing with these kids in their signing class, and build a bond that when they get here they've already developed. And so I think this class all together, and we try to have them visit on the same weekends and so forth too, to build that relationship. Parents get to know their parents and so forth. So really pleased with how this class came together.
Your first early signing period here at Troy, but your class is already done.
Yeah.
For this year, how important is that, or how good is it to kind of have that wrapped up and kind of know where you're sitting on it?
It's kind of different. It's only been doing this for 2 years now, the early signing period, I think. Maybe this is the third. But, for us, we just felt like when we got locked in on the right kind of fit for us, on the field, off the field, and all that our job was to really focus on those guys and get them here committed to Troy and then maintain their commitment, which we did. And it feels good. It feels good to have these kids here on board. Now we can focus in January recruiting period on really trying to evaluate this 21s and 22 class, because this recruiting, it just starts over now. And I think it's relieved some stress for us, and also helped us get a jump start on the next class.
You mentioned the need in the secondary, safety, defensive back. How much did this season kind of prove you can never have too many of those guys?
Yeah, that's a great question. Obviously when you go through a season like we did, where we had a number of guys you hope to never be injured or not be able to play for us, then you hope you never go through that again. And when you look at where we needed to bring in some depth or even a better player in some respect, that was important for us. And I think you can see by the way we went in the signing class that was where our emphasis was. And really, like you're saying, more for depth as much as anything, because we'll all compete in the spring and see how it all shakes out. And some kids will improve that played this year. I think by the end of the year, you saw a lot of our guys improve. Del Pettis comes to mind, O'Shea comes to mind. We had a lot of guys that took steps forward. Unfortunately, they had to learn on the field in a lot of cases. But again, we needed some more depth, and I'm really pleased with how we did that.
You knew you had 4 senior offensive linemen.
Yep.
And plus a fifth, that played quite a bit. Talk about that group as a whole.
Well, we knew we were losing 3 starters, and really Bobby played a lot for us too in a lot of the instances. So just felt like we needed a couple older guys who might have an opportunity to compete early and fill those void. Not to say that they still got to go out and win the job, but they do have some experience, I think, that will pay off. And then just felt like the other 4 that we were going to sign were high school guys who may come in and help us early. You never know, but at the same time, we thought would have great careers here and really develop. And when you look at those 4 high school guys, I think Logan Self comes from Hewitt-Trussville, is a guy that played at a high level, and he's very versatile. He can play probably center or guard for us, but could play any of the 5 spots as he did in high school. I think that's going to give him an opportunity, hopefully, to compete early. But Gage Saint's a guy that's really strong, really physical. I'm excited about. Chase Little's another guy. He went over to the Alabama-Mississippi game, and really, from everything I understood, really impressed those guys. And then, when you talk about Derrick Graham, Derrick's a guy that is 270 pounds right now, 6'5" or whatever he is. And I think he's going to continue to develop and eventually be a really, really good player. I think he comes from a great lineage. His dad played 9 years, I think, in the league. So he's impressive and a smart guy. And the thing I liked about him is from the very beginning, he was all in. He sent me a text every game day, good luck, and after the game, good or bad. He was just all in as a Troy Trojan. And those are the guys you kind of fall in love with in recruiting.
You mentioned a couple times about versatility.
Yeah.
Linemen who can move in.
Yeah.
When you look, particularly when you look ahead, 21 and 22, how important is that and what you're looking for?
I think it's extremely important because in what we do on offense, for sure, we want to try to put the best 5 offensive linemen on the field, And if you can play multiple spots, it actually builds depth within your depth, and you've got multiple guys that can snap, or multiple guys that are smart enough to play tackle and guard, and maybe even center. Coach Pugh does a great job of teaching those guys all the concepts that we have, but and he actually played all 5 spots when he played. So I think there's some really it's really important to be as versatile as you can. In the secondary, you know, Brandon and Ray are trying to find guys that might be a corner, okay, but they might be able to play spear, especially on third down, and he's the bigger corner that goes in and plays the slot receivers in certain situations, or a guy that can play safety. I think I've tried to emphasize to our staff and to everyone, hey, look, we want the best football players that we can get on the field at the same time. That's what we're looking for, and I think in our recruiting needs, that's something that we really emphasize and feel really good right now about where we are with that.
You also had some defense, you know, some new faces, defensive front.
Yeah.
Talk about that. 'Cause
The ones we just signed, yeah. I think those 3 D tackles that we signed, and then the 2 ends that are the bandit/ends that we signed. When you talk about Quincy Miller and Cam Williams, that are long, athletic guys, maybe raw in some respect, and gonna do a great job when they get here of putting on weight and getting into our off-seam program. But they have some things you can't coach. They're twitchy. They have really good change of direction. They can rush the passer, and you know, you always want to be able to do that. In college football, you got to be able to affect the passer on third down. I think those 2 guys will eventually be really good at doing that. When you look inside, you know, with Shaquille Brown obviously being a junior college player that's going to be a little older but extremely athletic. I mean, a guy that played basically tight end in high school some and kind of converted to a D lineman. And when you watch him run, it really is exciting. I think he's going to continue to grow here and become bigger and faster and stronger. And then Lewis Medina, one of the most explosive high school D linemen I've seen in a long time. Got a great smile, great energy, just brings a lot from that standpoint. Very confident guy. T.J. Jackson, every coach that I talked to in this area that played Stanhope Elmore just raved about how hard that kid played and moved the line of scrimmage in the backfield and how strong he was and hard to move. So I think when you look at all 3 of those guys, you can see they're going to have a bright future here and again, filled the needs that we were looking for.
Got me. Kid I've watched this year really explode on the scene. Tree Barber.
Oh, yeah.
From Dothan. What did you see about him? What was it like
Yeah.
recruiting him and bringing him here to Troy? How important?
Well, Jabri came to our camp and was so impressive. And I think the thing that I noticed when they came to our 7-on-7 as well, he just kept making plays over and over. He competed. He high-pointed the ball. He, contested catches. He usually came down with it. And then I saw, when you watch him play live or in high school, he's got running back skills. So you get him the ball in space. You saw him on his highlight tape. They'd throw a screen out there, and he could, run the football and make guys miss. And then you saw him stretch the field and catch the ball down the field. And, they had a coaching change there at Dothan, and they went to an offense very, very similar to ours. So we got a chance to see him doing a lot of the same things that he's going to do for us. And, anytime you get a really good player from the Wiregrass and that is the kind of kid that Jabri is, I think it's a win for everybody, and we're extremely excited to have him.